Well, hello. I am streaming on, well, a weird day, I guess you could say. You know, can't help but notice the news and things like that, but still want to try live my life. So, here I am trying to do a little bit of Clojure programming today. I started working on a Clojure SVG library, and I'm gonna open that up for myself here and keep working on that, and that'll be basically my focus for the day. Don't have anything too crazy going on otherwise. There we go. Just gotta clean up my windows and open up the project and get things going. Let's see. May as well switch over to the scene and get things going. All right, there we go. I'm just rearranging my workstation here a little bit. Hoping for the best. Quit the session. Okay, now I just have to open things up. And I am in the development of svg-clj. All right. Try to refresh my own memory here as to what was going on and just get to it. Let me see. All right. Well, there we go. Got my coffee, got my code, a weird picture of myself. And want to open up this repo here and just get working. Right. So, I should just, to be safe here, dev svg-clj git status. Would appear that I've made some changes that I didn't save into the Git repo, which is fine. I just have to make sure things are up to date appropriately. And then get back to work. Didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm a little out of it today. But that is just gonna be okay. And we're gonna work with it the way that things are. That's all I can expect today. Let's actually pop REPL up here. Get things loaded and start working on the code that way. If I look here, source svg-clj main, I may have made a tangling mistake here, and I might need to fix that up a little bit. if I look here, this tangles into svg.cljc, but up here this is incorrect. Gotta move my to-do list a little bit there. This must have just missed a little bit of the restructure here. This should actually be called svg_test, by the way. And the namespace here is incorrect. Suppose that makes sense. Oh, wait a second. Here, I'm going to revert this change and get back to what I was, do it this way, main test, which should be what I had before here. Oops. This is kind of a weird way to navigate through the library, but it's fine for now. Right. Main_test is what I want. I do want these to all be main. After all, I am changing my decision. Main is what I want. I'm going to do the cd test, list that, there's just that, okay. cd into source, remove main and svg. So they're empty. Now when I make a change here and save it, I can double check that. Yeah, so I still have some things going to the svg file, which I can see right here, and that's not what I want. So let's change it up. Main, correct. Oop. Path. The reason I want them to go into the file main is it's just easier for me to keep in everything in one namespace until I decide or need to separate them out. I should maybe call it core, but main is fine as well. I'm not too concerned about it because it won't be the final namespace name anyway, so. Just a personal preference. Okay. This Bezier thing is for sure not complete. Haven't looked at it in a while. I also know that the arc command is not complete either. A lot of work to do with this one yet. The arcs were actually a bit of a challenge. I haven't fully figured out how I want to solve the arc related issues, but I will get there. Prior to that, I want to get things cleaned up just enough that even though it's still prototype kind of quality, it can at least be useful. Results none. I don't know why I have this here. I don't even need that. I was probably experimenting with printing into here directly. I don't remember. Let's go main. Main. If there's anyone tuned in at the moment, I hope you're doing well today. All things considered, I hope things are relatively smooth in your area of the world. All right. Just checking. How's my life going outside of the internet here? All right, that's the wrong tab. There we go. Okay, feeling a little tired today, so if my energy's low, that's why. But that doesn't mean you can't participate in the chat. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and ask questions. I love chatting. I love explaining things I'm working on, all that kind of stuff. So you go right ahead, and everyone's welcome. Okay. I am still in the middle of fixing this stuff up here, tangling it all to main. There's a faster way to do it, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm just gonna do it this way because I'm almost done at this point. I've never learned the proper keyboard shortcuts for Emacs find and replace yet, because I don't have to do it I don't have to do it all that frequently. So I'm just constantly putting it off, which is not good, but that's the state of my brain right now. Okay, here's another one. Main. What do we got here? Group rotate. Interface, main. All right, almost done. Looks like I just have to do the scale and style, and then we're good. And we'll find out if we're good in just a moment as well. A lot of things to clean up here, which is exciting. The nice thing is that, like, it's cleanup. The actual logic of this library is pretty much done. Oh, what did I do? Accidentally typed a character. Risky business. Interface. There we go. Style, last bit. I hope. Main, interface, main. All right, let's see if those changes reflect appropriately here. Remove main and SVG. Oh, sun went down a little bit. My eyes are less strained, slightly. Let's save that, see where they tangle. Good, just a main, no more SVG. So that means all of the source code is getting plunked either into the test or into the source main file, which is exactly what I wanted. I can separate out and tangle the new files later on. Once everything's cleaned up and good to go, then the final structural organization can happen. But this is a small enough library that I don't think I'll even have to do much. Like, at most, I feel like I might put a utilities thing outside, and maybe path will be its own namespace as well, but I'll deal with that later. Because it doesn't matter too much at the moment. Okay, but now I can push that. Fixed.org tangle locations. Git push. All right, then this should now reflect that change. If I go into source here, there should only be main. And main is this big long thing. And that, 1,000 lines, is something I can probably clean up significantly. So that's the name of the game. Working on this code and cleaning it right up. Let me switch to the middle here, and there is my library, and this is my namespace. I love it. So let me evaluate this. clj-main, clj main, whatever. That's good. And I'll load file source svg clj, and the file is also main.cljc. Oh, unable to resolve symbol item in this context, eh? What's going on? I must have messed something up here. Let's have a look. This should say main.test. And this probably should be refer all, right? Maybe not. Just in case I want to run the tests on Clojure script, I don't want to refer all, because I'm pretty sure Clojure script doesn't have refer all capability. And that's just annoying. So as SVG, I suppose that's okay. But that's not where my problem is to do. Those don't have any weird hidden stuff in them. That's good. Right, so not sure symbol item in this context. Let's have a little peek at source directly and try to see what's going on. Where did this come from? It should be just like that. Kill it anyway. Okay, so that begins here. This is where things are already a problem. I must have switched how I call in the how I destructure this at one point. Suppose it doesn't matter. Save that and try to load the file again and see if that'll load. Something's a little bit strange here. Oh, but of course, some of this is actually to be expected because I have changed my dependencies and whatnot. So I'll just keep kind of iterating through sorting this whole business out. Okay, so points to string I happen to know is related to path stuff. Or I happen to assume it was, but apparently it's not there. I don't know why I closed the other file as well. That's a little bit premature of me, clearly. Let's do search forward for points to string. Okay. Okay, so I must have reordered a few things accidentally here. Let's search forward for define points to string. Doesn't exist at all, eh? I've confused myself a little bit, I will admit. All right, not a big deal. We can sort it out. Container element is nice and easy. You know what? Maybe it's better that I just go kind of section by section and evaluate things. Make sure they work on a needs basis, sort of like one at a time, and kind of go from there. All right. Circle and ellipse should work. They're very straightforward. Line. Polygon is where things already disappear. Points to string. You know what? I'm going to open up the stylo file here and try to figure out where that disappeared to, because I need it. Or at least I need its equivalent. And I believe it might be... It's not there. Okay. String helpers. Here it is. Points to string. Maybe I forgot to pull this element into the rest here. I think these are a little bit outdated as an approach as well. There's probably a smarter way to do it, so perhaps that's why they don't show up here. Maybe. Or I put them in here. I did not. Right, okay, so now I understand kind of where my head was at a little bit. Okay, so to go ahead and put in what I need here, I can define, I want to make the name of this a little more descriptive and probably make it private, right? I think that is the correct syntax for private function. You know what? I won't worry too much about it yet, anyway. Okay, so I have a single transformation here, point to string of points. So what that does, where did that, oh, it's up here. Apply string to interpose a comma between 2 points. Let's split this. I can keep this up here and my REPL over here because I want to mess around again with some of this stuff. Let's see here. If I just run string on this, yeah, okay. Just trying to think over the smart approach to this here. So here, I actually kind of think I shouldn't have these functions. I should just have string to point and point to string, and then just use those in a normal map call. So let's see if that makes sense. Let's give it a shot. So here I have point to string, point to s, and then another one s to point. Yeah, that'll be okay for the time being. So point to s takes a point. And turns it into a string by doing string, or pardon me, apply string to interpose a comma between the point elements. Let's see that that works the way I expect. Point to s of 2, 3, 4, a 3D vector, is correctly turned into that. That is correct there. And that even works for a single dimensional thing. So it's, yeah, that should be fine. Part of me does suspect that I should make either a spec or some stricter way to indicate that a point is two-dimensional. In the context of SVG drawings, that is always true. So it might be smart to guarantee that the points being operated on are two-dimensional, not three-dimensional. I'm not sure about like the most idiomatic way to do that yet though, so. And here's the other problem, well, another problem. You can pass any string into this function, but it won't perform the correct operation. But, okay. Right, so string to point is where I have read string. So I'm actually going to change how I do that. So if I have some string like this, I can actually did I pull in Clojure string is in here. It's probably unnecessary. If I do s/split the string, I want it to be something like this, and I want to split it on commas, and then I want to so this is why I used read string, because it nicely splits. But can I coerce? I cannot. Clojure turns string into number. Wonder parse int is apparently not here. Oh, because I have to define it, of course. Okay, so I can do that, but I don't think that works in a Clojure script context. Does it? Let's see here. Begin source, Clojure script. Oh, no end source tag. There we go. Give it a minute to warm up. It's got to launch a node REPL in the background. Oh, also the result's silenced. Oh, that doesn't seem to work. Might have to do it on the title header here. Results, value. Let's see. Can I get this to work now? Yeah, okay. So integer doesn't work. Yeah, that is what I thought, and that is okay. Let's bring results back to none, refresh the header, save this. This is probably why I went to read string anyway, because it handles, if this is a float or whatever, then I don't have to make any crazy logic myself. But I want to try for a minute or two to think about something that might still work, or find some suggestions that people have recommended in the past. Into I don't know, maybe read string is the right way to go. It's kind of what it was built for, I guess. I mean, clojure.repl/source read string. Yeah. Well, let's do let's see. Well, string to point, we begin with No, I am going to just use the read string business. It's not a, someone can point me in the right direction for better approaches. It's the only one I can think of, and I want to keep the library going a little bit here. What I will need to do then is adopt this little bit here for the CLJS, but that isn't, it feels just a little bit ugly to me, that is all. Other than that, it's not a big concern, really. I have this in here for testing purposes, interactive testing, but that might not exist in the final version of this either. In fact, I don't think it should, but I get ahead of myself already. Let's see. Did I format it correctly? Looks like it. Okay, so I can do read string. Yes. Perfect. Well, perfect. Okay, let's just go with that. We will commit to that approach. So to do that, I have to do map v read string over the result of string / split. Ooh. I'm realizing here that might be a bad thing. If I do read string, it does use s as the string. Okay, so that's good. I realize here's what I'm looking at. I alias string as s. So it should maybe be st. Not sure what the correct approach there is. Let's give it a shot. See what makes sense. All right, container elements. This shouldn't have any issues at all. All right, here I am. String split. String split s with the regex matching this. Map v read string over that. Let's give this one a shot. So I do string to point. The string is 2, 3, 5. 2, 3, 5. 5.3. 3. There we go. That looks good to me. And 2/3. It even does rationals just fine. I'm happy with that. Yep, I think that's just fine. Okay. Now, using those little pieces of functionality, put them up here. Yeah. Right, so here instead of this, I actually can just do points are equal to the result of map v. Does it need to be map v? I think I'll keep it map v for now. Yeah. Map v s, no, point to string. Yeah, it needs to be a string at this point. That's exactly correct. Yeah. Okay. And here, it's actually exactly the same thing. Yes, it's exactly the same. Map v point to string of points. Okay. Polygon, polyline, rectangle, text, the weird one. Text should be split into its own thing for now. And text is a bit different. Excuse me. And the reason it is, oh, I realized this just crossed my mind. I have to start a timer for myself here. Trying to get back in the habit of good time tracking kind of thing. And the hardest part is always remembering to start and stop the timers. But that's, you know what? That's fine. I can learn to do that. Okay. The reason text is a bit different, what do I mean by this? Well, actually, this is not good. Text is a bit different. It is much more complicated to know text's midpoint, or pardon me, text centroid, and thus local rotation translation methods for all other points, or pardon me, all other shapes don't easily apply. So, like path, text is treated as a very simple wrapper, but will have its own functions for better control and manipulation of text elements. In particular, you cannot know the exact width and height of a text element without being able to fully render the glyphs of the font. This is currently beyond the scope of the existing function below. In the meantime, that's good enough. Right, so instead define text. It's going to take text. It should also take font size, right? I suppose. Maybe not. Let's keep it as simple as possible. So what I've done here in this one, and I don't like it, what I did was use the monospace font and try to capture a single character's width and a single character's height at defaults and use those calculations to center the text. It didn't really work, especially when you started scaling things. So it's not, excuse me, it's not the right approach. I am letting myself get tired. Don't want to do that. Ugh. Okay, so I'll just basically do what you see here, the basics, and I'll take the style stuff out and just assume the user can make elements and run it through the styler themselves. I think that's fine behavior for the time being. Text X. Thinking about this for a second. X and Y will be unknown, actually. The transformation will also be unknown. So, actually, this is actually all the text element will be, right? So if I text, this is text, that's literally all it is, except for I should I stub the map in like that? Yeah, I think I should. Okay, I will do that. Right, so text dash old. No, you know what? I'm going to just straight up get rid of that because I didn't like it and I don't want it. Okay. Text covered it for the time being. Okay, so rectangle works and G tag also works, I believe, right? If I do circle 2, it does properly put that in there. And then if I do G for X range 3, create a circle of inc X radius, put that all in a G tag, and you get that result. I think that looks good. Okay. You know what? Actually, shapes, text should have its own little thing like that. Also, why is this down here? Shouldn't it be up much more? What was I doing here? this. Actually, you know, this geom calculations. Utils. See, naming this kind of stuff and organizing it is mildly frustrating to me. Okay, path, I'll pop down one for a minute, and text as well, because they are special cases inside the shapes situation here. So shapes, normal shapes, text and path. And utilities can go above shapes like this. Path now is its own right, okay. So now with the logic here, at the top of shapes here, I created this can stay up there, that's fine. This here, point to S, and S to point should go in the utils thing here. And this can be placed like that. And I'll make a little doc string here. Turn a point turns the vector of value, turns the vector of numbers, point, into a string, into a string. The string is suitably formatted for use in SVG attributes. That is a good doc string, I think. Turns the SVG, turns a string from SVG points, turns a string of numbers separated, a string of comma separated numbers, yes, into a vector. The string no, I think that's good. Yeah. Okay. So that's at least a little clearer. Shapes still has all of their bits and pieces in it. Text path. Fill rule even odd. Should make a note about fill rule maybe. Fill rule even odd will I'll explain that later. Okay, path helpers. This is now maybe the big thing to try and untangle here. I have to try and remember what I was attempting to do. I've written this a while ago, so it will, the logic of it isn't immediately obvious to my brain. But on that note, I'm going to get more coffee, go to the washroom for a minute. I will be right back. I won't be long. think I've got maybe another hour in me, and that's it today. One of those days, you know? One of those days. Okay. So this path thing is actually a little complicated because the path element has its own syntax, if you will, a few operations to it. SVG path, I think they're all spec'd in here. Yes. So here, these are all the different operations that can be identified inside the string that you pass in as the, the D property of the path. So I attempted to create a sort of approach to handling that all here, and I strongly suspect I need to rework it a bit. But I'm on the right track with def method and stuff like that for different path types. Oh, I even copied this into here. Nice. So let me have a look here. Pop this up at the top. I don't know why I put it in there. Utilities is good. Shapes is whatever. Path. Right, so there's move to, line to, horizontal, vertical, curve to, smooth curve, quadratic, smooth quadratic, arc, and Z is close path. Right here there's a note that says there's lowercase equivalents. So L 100 100 is an absolute move to. So if you're starting, this implies that your starting point is 0 0, M 0 0, L 100 100 is from there. You draw a line to 100 100. Then if I do this, L 10 10, oops, 10, geez, 10 20 instead. Lowercase l means from the position of where your cursor was at, or your pen, right? Then move from there 10 in the x and 20 in the y. So after these operations, you'll have two lines drawn, and your cursor will be cursor sitting at 110, 120. But if instead I did this, L 10 20, and not this, I would have cursor at 10 20 because it's moving in an absolute sense. So these are not equivalent here. In the only case where so the first move here from 0 0 to 100 100, these two would be equivalent, but that's not always the case. So what I did to handle this was I specifically didn't handle it. I only worked with the absolute coordinates. And I don't know if that's going to be good in terms of a thorough implementation, but it is definitely good for a beginning implementation. So I'm probably going to stick to that choice, at least initially. The thing is, you can entirely ignore H and V as well. You can always specify with line 2. The downside is if you have a really, really long path string and you have a bunch of line 2s in there, it is more characters in the string and a bigger file size. So it's optimal if you have large files to want to use H and V situations in there. So I will have to think about this. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Let's do that. Okay, save this. Let's just make sure I remember what I did do. Types of paths, line, arc, quadratic, cubic. Okay, so let's inspect this path to points thing here. Let's define a path that I can use to kind of mess around a little bit. In fact, I'll take this here from this example is some path. It's a simple one, but if I do path to points of A, it does work, which is nice. But what if I do something like this? I need the Bezier curve thing here. I do believe this won't work, but we'll find out. Okay, path to points, B. Okay, so here's the thing already, right? This is not a complete solution because I lost information here. It split these on spaces and alpha characters and stuff like that, but it completely lost the fact that there's a Q in here. If I were to define B maybe with a capital Q, would that change? It would not. So my point is, this is not a thorough implementation and it needs to be fixed. Now, how am I going to do that, huh? How am I going to do that? Okay, well, yeah, the Z is also semantically relevant for creating polyline versus a polygon kind of thing. I need to kind of create a map here, right? So if I define path map, it's a prototype here. If I def path map instead, actually, I need type and it can be relative line. Oh no, I could do this. I can do type, and it can be any of the types. Let's see here. Def path types is a set, and it contains line, cubic, quadratic. Oops. Line, cubic, quadratic, arc. Is there anything else? Let's see here. Line. I mean, I guess for thoroughness, I should do this. Line, H line, V line. Curve, smooth curve. Line, H line, V line, curve, smooth curve, quadratic, smooth quadratic, then arc. Those are the path types. Then there's def path, chord, chords, which would be either rel or abs, relative or absolute, then def path path open would be open or closed, but this one maybe should path end condition. That's kind of fine. I wonder if this should be some Boolean thing instead. But anyway, what I could do is make a path map that has some type key, like line, right? Some and actually this is not necessarily a full path. It would be a path segment map, right? Because you actually can produce, you can have multiple paths with multiple segments in a single path string. So what I mean by a path segment is this is a single string, but the segment here is M150. This segment here is L75-200. This segment here, L225-200. Then this last segment is it's not really a segment, but if there were two paths in a single string, this would denote like it would move on to some other path there. Let's mute and delete. Good old bots, eh? Okay. Just looked at Twitter. That's probably a mistake. Today is a weird day. It's a weird day for me, I'll be honest. But that's okay. Anyone who's watching this, thanks for tuning in. Anyone who's watching it later, that's really nice as well. Hope things are going well for you, you know? Okay. See, the thing is, like, I'm tired today, but I'm really excited that I'm actually making a Clojure project that I can release as like a MIT licensed open source thing. Like, that's genuinely exciting. So I just wish I could put that excitement into, physical energy right now. Instead, I have to just try to focus a little bit and see what I can get done in the next half hour or so. It's not so bad. But what I was saying here is I need to kind of come up with the idea of path segments. In fact, it might make sense to make a path segmenting function that does nothing but split the string into definite segments in order, because the order matters, right? If you change the order of points in a polygon, it's a different shape. So the order totally matters. The only time it doesn't is if you cycle the last point to the front of the list and shift everything by 1. So that is basically, you know, the order is 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. But you cannot, well, I guess in a triangle it doesn't matter, but for any polygon other than that with more points, the order absolutely matters. Otherwise you'll get line segments twisted over each other, and that is not what I'm looking to do. Okay. Right, so we've got path type, we've got coordinates, right, which I want to be absolute mostly. I want end to be closed in this example, and that's it. So it's just, oh, and then of course there's the values, right? So if, okay, so let's create a path segments taking some path string, and this function will split the path string PS, not PSP, split the path string PS into segments into a vector of path segment maps. Yes. Yes? No. Path segment strings. Okay. So the reason that's strings is because I want to make another function here called path segment string to map. So path segment string. See, this is why the terms are already a little confusing, because, well, yeah, it's a little hard to follow what's going on, I think. Transform the, oh, I did this wrong. There we go. Oop. Well, there we go. Transform a path segment, transform the path segment string, PSS, actually, you know what? This is probably better. Seg string. Seg string. No, PSS is fine. Okay, so these two functions are my idea for building a more robust path handling functionality. Okay, so here, splitting a path string into a vector of path segments seems totally doable. The first thing I should probably do is remove any new line characters, because I'm going to assume there's no guarantee that the path string is from my library. It could be from some external source. So I want it to be, I have to assume it's well formed, but it can have new lines or it might not. So I can't use them explicitly as the separators. I think that makes sense. So we'll take a path string. And thread first. There we go. First thing to do, there's a string / remove. I guess I'll use string replace. Just thinking about new lines, I'll probably replace them with spaces for safety. Replace string. No, string replace PS. And it's got to match new line. I want to replace it with a space. So I want to kind of normalize a little bit, right? That's the idea here. Kind of get things into a format that makes sense. I cannot make it all caps or whatever because that has actual meaning, right? Like I said earlier, lowercase l and capital L mean different things in terms of the coordinate positioning. So they have to be maintained as is. So the next thing to split on is just any alphanumeric character, right? Just like I have here. And that should sufficiently split I mean, well, let's see. Let's see if that makes any sense or not. Let's do s/split. So it's still a single string at this point. So I do want to split it like this on A to Z caps or A to Z lowercase. And that might be good. All right, let's have a look there. If I do path segments of A. Oh, right. So how do there is a way to split on something but not eliminate that thing that was split from. How do I do that again? I'm realizing I should probably put this in a new little section so I don't lose the let's see here. New path impl is going to be all this. Path segments. Yeah. Here. And then this is all going to be split. And old path impl. There we go. For the time being, there's still both usable, but this is where the real deal comes in. All right. All right. So to quickly test this out, oh, that's right. I was trying to figure out there's totally a way to split on a character, but maintain, but keep the thing that it was split on. Let's do that. Clojure, keep character that string was split on. Maybe there might have been an example right in here too. Oh, here, this is what I'm thinking of here. Using lookarounds, look ahead or look behind, one can keep the matching character. That's what I'm looking for here. Okay, so let's understand this. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so bracket question equals, presumably that's the look ahead syntax. I've never learned regex completely thoroughly, just enough to kind of be able to piece it together as I need it. And that's not always perfect information, but that looks like what I need nicely. Now here, I might want to do something. I want to do map trim is that gonna work? Yes. Okay, now let's try path segments with B. So this is pretty much what I'm trying to get at here. So this is a segment, and then the next segment is immediately specified with Q here. Now the thing is, if I want to convert a singular segment, I need its previous segment as well. And that's because this Q here, for example, is specified as having, how do I explain this? No, not what I want. Right. Well, basically, so any operation starts with an implicit position from where the cursor or the pen was previously. So you see this path starting with M150 to 0. All that means is, without drawing anything, move your pen to that position on the canvas. And that means L here has an X and a Y coordinate, but only one X and Y coordinate, which is just a point, right? You need more than a single point to be able to draw a line. So if I were to get the line, I would need the M portion of this, right? Likewise, for the next line, I need the previous call here. And then Z is luckily a bit of a special case in that it just terminates a thing. It specifies closed or not. So to turn a segment into a map, and if I assume the map contains, like any path segment map could be converted into a normal map without issue, I need to have all possible data to fully spec that part of the path on its own, right? So these path strings, I will always need to take two and use both to come up with the singular path segment map. So I'm gonna stick with an easy-ish kind of example first, right? And just kind of consider what I just described here. Although it shouldn't be too difficult, really. In fact, actually, this is not even going to be PSS. It's going to be pair of things. It's going to be previous and current. And then here, right, if I do make a function here, segment type, given a path segment string, returns type key of the path segment string PSS. The key can be any of I wonder if I shouldn't name these and should just have them be the just the I'm having a hard time. And segment types, right? M, M, L, L. These aren't equal, right? I sure hope they're not. There's no way. Okay, good. Good. Right, so M, M, L, L, H, H, V, V. There's a lot, actually. C, C. Oh, wait a second. Let's make it explicit, right? S, S, Q, Q. No, I don't really like this. Okay, segment types are gonna be line. H line. V line. Like I had before. The reason is a path segment is not the command. It's a different idea slightly in my head. It's like any path segment, I want, without any extra data, to be able to render it as if it were completely its own path. So it needs all possible data to do that. Yeah, that makes sense. Kinda. Okay, I'm gonna assume I can go with that. So there's curve, then smooth curve, quadratic, and S quadratic. Yeah, and then arc. Those are the things. Yep. Good. Okay. Path segments split on any alpha characters. Remove any new lines. Split on alpha characters. Trim every part of that segment so that the sub-segment strings, partial segment string, path segments, excuse me. Okay. Right, okay, so using that, I can use kind of the logic here. And just do an includes and tag it. So I'm gonna try that. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do or not. But if PSS includes, oops, line. How does includes work? Here, actually, I can can kind of combine it into one thing here. So includes capital L, type ends up being line, and oops. These are just reference. I don't think, like, I haven't spec'd this up yet, so these are not really relevant other than to try help me think a little bit through this. Type line, and maybe I should do this to make readability just a bit clearer. Okay, type of the segment is line and chords is absolute. What else can this give me? I'm gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna leave this function to be as simple as that for the time being. Okay, so now I can just copy this for every other condition, or for every other line type, I should say. Just trying to think about the M situation in Z. They're going to be special cases, actually. So I'll skip thinking about them for now. LL, HH, VV, CC, SS, QQ, TT, A. Is there a smoother way to do this? Almost certainly. There almost certainly is. I'm going to go to the washroom again, think about this. Be right back. Well, all right. I am getting close to the end of my energy for this for now. I'm going to finish stubbing this out. At least I can go with that and get this further along the way. V C C. I think maybe this would be a spot for something like core match to actually make core match could be used here for better function readability. But that's a thought for another day. C S Q T A. Crazy stuff. Absolute, relative, abs, rel. Let's do this one at a time so I don't confuse myself. Type, line, abs, rel, type, h line, abs, h line, rel, v line, absolute, v line, rel, curve, curve, absolute, curve, relative, smooth curve, S curve, absolute, and S curve, relative. Q is quadratic, absolute, and quadratic relative. And here T smooth quadratic, rel. A is arc, absolute, and arc relative. So I just don't feel like this is really the smart way to write this. Returns the type and coordinate keys. Definitely a smarter approach, but I digest. Okay, so using that, I should theoretically be able to at least do something like this. Map segment data onto both previous and current. If I run this, it's not going to be overly useful, but it should at least get me something. I want to run it, path segment string to map on take 2 of path segments of A. Right, so you get nil on the first one here because if I take 2, the first one here is M, which currently doesn't have a cond associated with it. I'm almost certain there's a better way to do this, so I'm not really convinced that this is smart. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I just do this take 2 of rest here, then I get 2 types. I have a line absolute and a line absolute here as well. Okay, since I'm not really getting anywhere on stream, I am gonna get going and think about this tonight. Maybe work on it tomorrow morning. Definitely work on it on the stream tomorrow. So that's good. Let me just try to commit this, even though it's not really good yet. Git status, git add, git commit, in process of refactoring path functions. Yeah, git push. That's not a very helpful message, I think. I should get better at that. But that's up. I think it's a good place to start, or to stop, I mean. All right. That's all I got for the day. I'll be back streaming tomorrow, assuming things all go okay. Actually, yeah, things should be fine, and I'll be streaming tomorrow. That's all I got now. Thanks. If you're watching this, after the stream or anything like that, or on YouTube, consider letting me know through whatever messaging you think is appropriate. Twitter, whispers on Twitch, messages on YouTube, anything like that. Let me know what you think. I have a goal this year to make this a lot better and make it more robust and reach a wider audience. So feel free to participate in growing this channel of mine by interacting with it in whatever way you think is going to be helpful. And I would really appreciate that. Even if you don't want to do that, it's really nice if you tune in at all. Give a little like or something like that. That's just nice. I would totally love that. Even if none of that happens, I hope you are well and that you have a good day or night or whatever. And I will be back another time, and I'll see you around. That's all from me. Have a good one.